Tonight is the spooky library tour. This is the thing that you guys chose out of a list of things. I asked you what you wanted to do and you chose this. And this is kind of a surprise for me. I wasn't sure what you guys were gonna choose, but this is awesome. I had a lot of fun putting it together and I hope that you like this video. So 4,000 subscribers. The last video I did was for 2,000 subscribers and it feels really, really good. I think that was just like a year ago. So it feels good to be growing, but you know, numbers are not the heart and soul of a channel. It's really what your passions are and who is there to share it with you, you know? That's kind of really what it comes down to, at least for me. So without further ado, let's get into this spooky library tour. Let's begin with this bottom shelf. Most of these books here I've read, but there are some here that I haven't because I've gotten them in just recently or not too recently. So I'm just going to show you the books, mainly the books that I've just kind of acquired this year, I think, if I can remember right. So I'll start off with The Monster of Elenthaven. This is a book I'm reading for one of the scary locations, a TBR. This is one of the newest books that I've gotten. I just got this in from the Abominable Book Club. This is The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I'm sure most of you know about this one. This is another new one that I've got this year from Abominable. This is The Others. This is a mystery thriller, and it's about a serial killer in Tel Aviv. Now, I just finished this book. This is one of the books for the scary location, so I'll be doing a review on this one very soon. We all know what this is. But this one's empty, there's nothing in here. I just kind of have it like as a prop. This is a mask that I got, and I really, really need to find something to do with it, because it's pretty awesome. The remaking, I believe, is a new one-ish that I got this year. This was a very good read about witches and about horror cinema. Mina and the Undead. As you know, I just did a review on this. The House on Needless Street is another mystery thriller from Abominable Book Club. The Loop is I believe it's a zombie YA-ish horror story, or more like a mystery thriller. Blood and Bone is a very, very good zombie YA horror book that I read recently. It surprised me because you know that I'm not a big zombie fan. The House of 100 Whispers, which I just got done doing a review for. This was a lot of fun. Very surprising book. I think I got this one this year, Slade House. I can't remember if I've had this one for a while now. It's one that I haven't read yet. I don't think it's exactly horror. I think I'm not exactly sure what it is. Someone recommended it and I just picked it up. So I definitely want to get to this at some point though. I really love this bookmark right here. And if you turn it around, it's really cool. I liked the movie too. I thought it was really fun. I think I really want to rewatch that for the Halloween season. And this really pretty key. The bookmark that I made for Regina. And these are the candles that you buy for the cemetery. Looks like this when it's lit, and it's so pretty at nighttime when you see a bunch of these all through the cemetery. So I buy them, and you know, I use tea lights in them, or I use other lights and stuff, but they're really just really pretty. In the back here are all of my vintage horror books that I have, and my horror magazines here. And in front, these two little stacks are some of the TBRs that I am very excited to dig into. This is The Deep by Nick Cutter, and I'm really excited about this one because I really love deep sea horror. This is Frozen Charlotte. This is loosely based on an urban legend or a death actually that happened in the 1800s of a woman named Charlotte who froze to death. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. This is The Ward by S.L. Gray, and the reason why I picked this up is because I loved The Apartment, and we're gonna see that pretty soon, but I really wanted to get another one from these authors, so I picked this one. Another book I can't wait to read, The Boatman's Daughter. Tender is the Flesh. This one makes a lot of people shudder and cringe. The Resident. This sounds very creepy. It's not supernatural, and it's more of a thriller, I think, but it sounds very scary and creepy. And 12 Nights at Rotterhouse is a book that I just saw a few people had read and reviewed, and it just sounds like a lot of spooky fun. I actually won this book from Regina's Haunted Library. I was very surprised that I won. I will admit it's out of my comfort zone. This is not my usual fanfare that I read. Domain by James Herbert. This is about rats, I believe. Richard Lehman's One Rainy Night. I believe this is pretty gruesome from what I can read from the back. The Blackstone Chronicles by John Saul. I haven't read anything by Saul in like so long, but I'm really excited about this one. Necroscope. This was a recommendation from a subscriber. The Great and Secret Show by Clive Barker. The Adventures of Gwenna Luna. This is a YA author who actually lives here in Berlin. Black Static magazine, but in more of a, I guess, anthology, maybe layout. I think this is 2 magazines together, I think. Hellbar magazine, I believe I got this in January, but this is a December 2020 issue. And the Gasling. I love the way they do their designs. So awesome. And now we are on the 3rd shelf, and all of these books right here are my Darcy Coates books, and here are my novellas, and over here are my short story collections. Another one of my favorite bookmarks. This is A Stranger Dream. Let's get into my novellas. This was brand new, it just came in not too long ago. The Blood Beast Mutations by Carl John Lee. Dear Laura by Gemma Amor. The Worm and His Kings by Haley Piper. Remembering the Dead by Regina St. Clair. Do you see that? Don't Trust Bees by D. Barya. After Me, the Great Flood by Jason Robert Ducharme. Black Magic by R. St. Clair. You sure you're not hearing that? I wonder. I hope we don't have another infestation. I should probably call Willard. He knows exactly what to do. Willard! Feral book skeletons are fairly smart, and they know how to hide really, really well. And they just slowly turn your books into graveyard dust. Yeah. Oh, good. I think we might have another infestation. Do you have the trap? Good. Can you do it now?
A bag with no bones. Oh no!
Thanks, Willard. He'll know what to do with it. The Thing from the Lake by Eleanor M. Ingram. I actually bought this here at a shop in Berlin. And now for the short story collection, Australian horror. This is really intriguing to me because I have no concept of what Australian horror really is. Stephen King's Just After Sunset. We Are Wolves. Local Haunts. Okay, let's move up to the top shelf. So up here I have my creme de la creme, my top of the top, best of the best. These are the books that I really, really enjoyed reading. These are the stories that stick with me, that I think about. I really wanted to create like a little special space for them, and I would really love to like create something kind of fancy for it at some point. But for now, this is their little corner. These are my babies. Over here are like some collections of authors that I have, like Stephen King and Adam Neville, James Brogden, Scott Thomas, and Matt Vizvolovsky. This is Deity by Matt Vizvolovsky. I don't know how to say his name. I'm always saying it wrong and messing it up, so I'm very sorry. So I have Beast and Deity. This is the two that I have from this author. Kill Creek, which you guys know about because I've talked about a lot, and this is another Scott Thomas book, Violet. I really want to get to Violet. I just keep forgetting about it, but it's not because I don't want to read it. I really, really want to read it and get to it. Hekla's Children. This is another scary location, TBR. Bone Harvest. I believe I got this year too. This is another James Brogden. So altogether I have these three. And it's really nice because they're all the same shape, shape and size, and they just go so well together. House of Small Shadows by Adam Neville. This is my newest acquirement, I guess, my newest Neville book. I plan on getting all of his books, so every time I make a purchase, I always try to pick one up that I don't have. I have these plus another one, which is in my awesome stack over here. And this one is Weird and Other Derelictions, which is a very interesting, cool concept read. It was really neat. It's not a horror per se, but if you like weird fiction, strange fiction, you probably really like this. And I have my little matchbook here. It's artwork I made. I made another one actually, another design that's different than this, and I should post it soon. I really love this bookmark. It's one of my favorite bookmarks. It's just really, really so detailed and really pretty, and it just stands out. I love that it's die cut. This is from L'Entresor. Deadfall Hotel is also another Scary Locations TBR book. Sounds really cool. Can't wait to get into it. Okay, let's get into these amazing reads that I have here. So, reads for this year that I really, really loved was The Ghost of Sleep. I really, really enjoyed this book. It was just so much fun. So much supernatural fun. Smithy, another really great book for this year for me. Just really a perfect mix of science, the 1970s, and the supernatural. Now this book. I know that I've been mentioning this around in a few places, but this is my new obsession. I really love this book. This is probably my favorite read for this year. You like the supernatural? You're gonna get it. And you're gonna get it good. Maggie's Grave, another phenomenal read, just unforgettable, hilarious, and gross. I'm pretty sure that I read this year, I think. If not, I'm sorry. The Apartment by S.L. Gray. They also wrote The Ward, which is why I wanted to get it. And this is the book that kind of just inspired me. And I really, if The Ward is good, I think I'm gonna just keep on getting more and more and more. And they might be another new obsession for me, depending on how it goes. Come Forth and Thaw by Jason Robert Ducharme. This was a really great short read. Just really went into an interesting place. And of course, here is No One Gets Out Alive. So that was my spooky library tour. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope it was fun for you and that it did evoke some spooky feelings, because the season is upon us and I'm already celebrating, as you can tell. A lot of us horror tubers are already on our way to the Halloween asylum in our minds. So I'm ready for this season. Such a small library. I feel a bit feeble when I'm doing a library tour. I feel like everybody has a much bigger library than I do. And if you think that you might have a feral book skeleton living in your library, you know exactly what to do. But if not, let me know and I will send over Willard for you.
Welcome to the Q&A.
Thank you guys for submitting your questions to the Q&A. I hope that you like my answers and that it's interesting. Let's begin. We're gonna start off some questions from the Patreon. Jason White says, what do you do when, if you begin to feel overwhelmed with your TBR? That's really easy. Usually what I do is I'll just skip through the TBR to find a book that is calling my name, you know, it's fitting my mood or something. And if not, then I'll just not read for a couple of days and see where I'm at. I try not to make reading like something I have to do or I'm forced to do, because I just really don't want it to be a chore or an assignment, because, you know, that's no fun. Elizabeth Sagewood, she says, what drew you to the dark and macabre? Was it anything specific, do you think, or just a natural attraction? I'm not sure exactly when it started for me, but I can remember distinctly it was like first or second grade when one of our teachers during the Halloween week was reading that scary stories to tell in the dark. And it was I remember that moment really being the moment of being enchanted with something scary. And that book legitimately scared me. The Girl with the Green Ribbon was a story that I always thought about, just like this idea that the only thing holding on someone's head could be a green ribbon. Cynthia Soli says, is there a haunted place in the world you'd love to visit? I of course would love to visit Ireland is just really known for its ghost stories. I've never been to England, so I would definitely want to go there because I think in the beginning a lot of the ghost stories that I read about were either English or Irish. So I definitely want to go there. It has already a spooky feeling for me. I would also like to go to places like Egypt and see the pyramids. It's not necessarily a spooky destination. Like, I don't think anyone would ever refer to it that way, but I think visiting these tombs is pretty spooky. Also, what are your favorite horror things in other media? I play a lot of independent horror games, usually from Steam. The game that I'm still playing and have been playing very slowly because it is very terrifying and very scary is Alien Isolation. I've been playing that for a minute. John Saxon says, what made you love horror books? So when I was growing up, I had a very difficult and traumatic childhood. And the characters in horror books were characters that I could relate to much, much more. Like, I understood fear and loneliness and sadness, and, you know, maybe being an outsider, but I didn't really understand having a perfect family, having perfect relationships, having, you know, a lot of things that, you know, you probably should have as a kid. I just really couldn't relate to those things. So I was really pulled to horror books for that reason, I think. Ophelia is Falling says, do you write your own stories? I have written some stuff. I've had a few things published throughout the years, like in magazines and stuff, but nothing really serious. Like, I would never call myself an author or anything. But I do have a short story that's going to be coming out in the HorrorTube anthology Served Cold that Regina St. Clair is going to be doing. If you remember, she did the Local Haunts book. So I will have a short story in there. I hope you guys like it. If you don't, it's okay. I do have a novel that I started, but I just really haven't had any time to get to it. But, you know, maybe one day. Plagued by Visions says, is there a book that has actually managed to make you lose sleep or come close? I think it has to be Exquisite Corpse by Poppy Z. Bright because it gave me nightmares. In that book, there is a lot of gore. And in my dreams, I was just seeing this gore. It was just kind of manifesting so that everything in the dream, like almost like one of those like fractals or something, was just everything was gore. So that was pretty intense. It's really, really rare when I have dreams that seem to come from very obvious sources. Like if you watch a movie or, you know, you experience something in real life or, you know, whatever. Like this, it's very rare for me to have that. So I actually thought it was pretty cool, and I wouldn't say I enjoyed it, but I thought it was cool. It was an interesting experience. The Dancer Jen says, besides supernatural focused horror, what other genres do you enjoy? I think I might be a little bit of a unusual reading rat, as they say in German, Leseratte, instead of a bookworm, because I really only read supernatural. I don't really read anything else. Like, supernatural is like the only thing I will actually buy. Lindsay D says, what is your favorite knick-knack on your bookshelf and why? So this isn't like my favorite, but it's one of my favorites because when we went to the Baltic Sea a couple weeks ago, the area that we're in, it's just sort of has a lot of like little plots of wooded areas. And we were kind of walking through this trail and I saw like the side of this sticking out of the dirt. And so I went over and I pulled it out of the dirt, but I ripped my nail on my thumb, like kind of really far down, you know, to here. It was so painful, but that was my sacrifice. So I pulled this out and it just looked like that maybe it was like an old dumping ground that was maybe kind of like stuff was kind of coming up a little bit, because I know that before there was garbage pickup, even in the US, most people used to just dump their stuff in the woods or in their backyard. So I found this, and what I liked about it is that, yes, indeed, it is a diner coffee cup, and I love diners. I love diners, I miss diners. American diners are just something really near and dear to my heart.
No, cherry pie and coffee. In fact, I want 16 cups of coffee.
And we don't really have diners like that here. We have cafes, not the same. Breakfast is not a big thing here, at least the way that we might know breakfast, you know? So I had to have it. Andrea Velez says, if you were a ghost, what place in person would you like to haunt? I think I would go back to my childhood home because the house that I grew up in was this old, peeling, you know, Victorian house. I'd probably want to haunt that house because when I was a kid, I thought that I saw this apparition in the living room, and it was of a man with a black beard and a top hat and black suit and a cane walking silently through our living room. And I saw it out of the corner of my eye, and it was so vivid. Like I can see it in my mind now. But it would be cool to go back as a ghost and be like, hey, or remember me. Sarah As You Wish says, how do you come to live overseas? So me and my boyfriend actually met touring because we were both in bands, and he came over from Germany and we were touring the US for a month. And we just kind of, you know, really hit it off there and then continued to stay in contact. And eventually, you know, like a year or so later, we decided to, you know, make it official and come on over to Germany. So that's how that happened. Angela I says, what was your first horror read? Which book got you into horror? Well, I mentioned the Scary Stories to Tell in Dark was my very first horror read, and that was like first or second grade. But as I got older and I became like a tween, it was definitely Stephen King, V.C. Andrews, Dean Koontz, John Saul. I can't remember which book it was. It was maybe Christine or Pet Sematary, Flowers in the Attic. You know, it was like one of those books. Pedro Zacharias says, if you had an opportunity to co-write a story with any author, who would it be and what would the story be about? Okay, I've been thinking about this, and it would be Adam Neville, because you know that I adore Adam Neville. He's just one of my favorite writers. But I know that he's really into the folk horror thing, and so I think it would be really cool if we wrote a terrifying tale about fairies together. I think, like, you know, not cute, you know, little fairies with wings wearing bikinis and stuff like that. That's not what I mean. I mean like the real old school fairies, the terrifying ones, the ones that are just gonna lead you to your doom, the ones that trick you into your death. I think that would be so awesome and fascinating. Natasha Dawn says, may I ask if Merce is your given name or nickname? Merce is actually a nickname. It is a nickname. It is a shortened version of my middle name. I don't really like to share too much of like my private information, so I won't tell you what that name is. I really liked this name because it was androgynous. You couldn't really tell where the name come from. You know, you don't look at it and know right away like what part of the globe it might be from, you know, and so I liked that. So I just really feel like that's me. Witchy Fingers. Okay, so she has like a rapid fire here. Favorite book, No One Gets Out Alive by Adam Neville. Favorite movie, Return to Oz. Favorite place, basement. Favorite sound, the wind. Favorite scent. I'm kind of a granny and I like rose. Like real roses. Like when you walk by a rose garden. Favorite outfit, black jeans, black boots, Garfield socks, and a black t-shirt. Favorite animal, cats. And favorite drink, mineral Wasser. I gave this to Cameron Chaney a little while ago and thought it would be a good one for you too. Oh no. A scholar discovers that there are 5 truly cursed books in the world. Which of your books would be one of the cursed and why? I think it would be Maggie's Grave by David Sodergren. I think because Maggie just comes back so insanely demonic that if she were to get out of that book, there'd be hell to pay. Brittany Lyman says, what one book has been really hard to find that you just had to have? I actually do not have this book yet. I mean, I kind of do. But it is a German, German publication of No One Gets Out Alive by Adam Neville. It's in German, but it has these amazing illustrations and the artwork is so cool and the cover is so amazing, but it's all in German, and like my German is not good enough to be able to read a book like that. And I'm just like, you know, like I want it, but I can't really, you know, rationalize getting it I mean, if I had the extra money laying around, I would probably do that. But I'm just like, oh, you know, I'm not gonna read it. It's just gonna sit there. But I still want it. The Groke says, one book you wish will be made into a movie. There are so many, but I really do think that the Darcy Coates series, the Black Winter series, would be an amazing Netflix show. It's an apocalyptic adventure through a wasteland, and it's just so much fun, and the characters are really cool, and I just think that it would be a binge-worthy series. I'm really not into movies anymore. I just feel like they're too short. I need to spend like, you know, I don't know, 8 hours, 12 hours binging something. You know, that's what I need. An hour and a half, 2 hours? No. Not enough. Robert Fletcher says, what is your favorite gothic trope? I think it's the one where a stranger comes to someone's house, usually a mansion, that is inhabited by a family, like a strange family, but the stranger has to, you know, do something with the family. Like maybe it's a governess, maybe it's a doctor, or somebody who's outside of the family that comes in and then kind of starts having to peel away all of the weirdness that's going on in this house. Diptanjan says, another rapid fire. Pizza or burger? Pizza. Vampires or werewolves? Vampires. Slow-paced books or page turners? Page turners. Chow mein or pasta? I mean, chow mein is technically pasta, but I think I know what you're saying. I love a good chow mein. I haven't had one in a really, really long time, so I'm gonna say chow mein. Godzilla or King Kong? This one's really hard because like I can totally identify with Godzilla. You know, just tearing shit up in the city and destruction and all that kind of stuff. And then there's King Kong, who's like kind of been abused and treated poorly and taken from his home. Let's just kill this city. Godzilla. The Bookish Report. Do you prefer matte black or shiny black? I prefer matte black. Philip Black says, can you please explain the Mandelbrot set to me? Are you talking about almond bread? Have you been to Germany before, or was it a jump into the deep end? I had been to Germany before. Previously, I had toured in Europe and we had spent like a couple weeks here. Maybe it was a month. One of the things that I really love about Germany, at least in Berlin, is like there's like very little advertising. So the city is not wrapped in all of these ads all the time. It's not. It's very minimal, and their advertising laws here are very strict. Their privacy laws are very strict. So it feels really nice to not have to look at an ad everywhere you go, especially coming from New York, where it's like every little piece of free real estate, you know, was an ad. Nevskis Lake or Nevskis Laka? I'm not sure how to pronounce that, sorry. Have you ever attended a seance? Yes. I mean, not an official one, you know, like not one where someone's like, oh, let's come together and sit at a seance table and call the spirits, you know, with a group of people. I mean, I wish, like I would love that. It's always been like me and one other person, and yeah, nothing ever really happened, which was really sad because I was always like, please let something happen. But you know, I am up for seances. Please invite me to your seance. Janet Literary Lane says, what do you prefer in a book theme? Haunted houses, supernatural, or a book about deranged, murderous, psycho killers, and why? Haunted house supernatural is definitely my bread and butter. But I do love deranged, murderous, psycho killers. However, I go to true crime for that. Don Domenico Selga says, if you met a vampire, would you like to be bitten or become one of them? Definitely become one of them. And I will tell you, it's really more for the aesthetics. Like, I love vampire teeth. I've always wanted one. Like, I've always played with actually getting some. The vampires sometimes have pointy ears, which I love. They have cool eyes. They have these really nice long nails. They don't have to go to salon for that. And by the time I'm like 500 years old, I'm probably gonna be pretty tired of humans. I would think. I would think so, you know? Is there the vampire that goes into the woods and just lives with animals and can't take it anymore? Vanessa says, have you ever experienced something creepy or unexplained in your life? I've had a lot of creepy experiences. You know, some creepy, like people are creepy and creepy things kind of happen. I can't really think of anything particular, but one thing that comes to mind for some reason is when I was a kid I would have to go feed our dogs, and we had our dog food in those like metal garbage containers, and they had a lid. And I went and I picked up the lid and I put my hand in there to like scoop up some dog food, and a mouse or a rat like ran right up my arm, and I screamed. Claire Bunga says, if you were to become a mysterious, nefariously impregnated, what would you hope your child to be born as in not fully human? I've always kind of thought about this, not exactly in the same way, but like, you know, what if humans could decide what kind of species they were going to give birth to? Like, if you didn't want to give birth to a human, you could be like, oh, you know, I want to give birth to a dog, or I want to give birth to a whatever, you know, like you could choose somehow. I don't know how it'd work biologically, okay, I don't know. I would think maybe a crow, because I have always wanted to fly, and I think a human with wings would be amazing. I mean, as long as it didn't come out with just like a crow head and like a human body, which would not be what I would want. But let's just say it comes out the way that I like, so, you know, arms and everything regular, but just like crow wings and then maybe crow legs. Maybe a crow face, I don't know, maybe, yeah, you know, I don't know, maybe a crow face. So yeah, so maybe, you know, crow baby. Kristen Staples says, do you think you'll ever move back to the US? Only if I have to. I really like it here. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not easy as an American to be here in a lot of ways. There's a lot of things that are so different. It takes you so long to kind of figure shit out. But for the most part, I like it. Also too, living in Germany, it gives me access to the whole entire EU. So that means I can travel to a lot of cool places that I'd probably never get to in the United States. German Landart says, favorite horror TV show? Penny Dreadful. Ava Green's performance as Vanessa is, I can't even handle it. I can't even handle it. It's so vulnerable, it's so intense, and the rest of the characters I really love too. Like Frankenstein's monster's character was so sad, so tragic. It just was such a heartache every time, you know, watching him. And the characters are very, I felt they were, you know, they had a lot of depth and complexity, and I'm so sad that it was only like 3 or 4 seasons or whatever it was. Just really not happy about that. Thank you guys so much for all of your questions. I hope that it was interesting and fun. I really appreciate the time you took to think of them and to send them to me. I couldn't get to every single question, so I hope that you enjoyed this celebratory video of 4,000 subscribers. It's such a cool moment for me. Thank you so much for spending it with me and for being here. I really appreciate that. If you liked this video, please like and comment below. Tell me your thoughts on everything. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Hit the bell for notifications if you want them. And please take care of yourselves, look out for each other, and I will talk to you next time.